There are some questions that seem to be about money, but really they're not. Take this one. For example, how much should a husband earn? Sounds like a reasonable question, right? Practical. But in reality, this is the kind of question that slowly destroys relationships. Not because the question itself is bad, but because we're too afraid to talk about what's really behind it. We stay silent. We wait. We hope it'll all just work itself out somehow. And then, when it gets unbearable, it comes out. You need to make more money. And we think we finally said what we needed to say. But by then, it's too late. Because the issue was never really about the money. It's about the unspoken resentment, the fear, the exhaustion, and the loneliness that builds up inside a relationship. Let's be honest, why does this question even come up? If both people are working, why is one of them suddenly asking, how much should he be earning? Isn't it a shared effort? Isn't it supposed to be a partnership? If she doesn't work, why is she demanding more? Is it fair to expect everything while contributing nothing? And if she's on maternity leave and the money isn't enough, then the real question is this. Did you two even talk about how your life would change? Did you sit down and ask yourselves, will we have enough strength, enough resources to handle this? Or was it more like, we'll figure it out somehow? But the real issue isn't how much money each person makes. It's why even people who love each other are afraid to talk about money in the first place. Why talking about the budget feels like admitting you're calculating things. Why an honest conversation about the future turns into something offensive. And honestly, isn't that one of the most absurd things? Being afraid to talk to someone you're building a life with about how you're actually going to live together. Let me give you a simple example. A wife cooks soup. Every time she oversalts it, but she does it with love, with care, with good intentions. The husband eats it, smiles, says it's great, because he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. And so it goes, day after day, until one day he snaps. I've been eating salt bombs for 6 months. My body tenses up every time I see that pot. And the crazy part? He could have just said kindly, hey, this is great. Maybe just a little less salt next time. That's it. No drama. And it's the same with money. We stay silent. We hold it in. Until one day, someone explodes, and the other one has no idea what just happened. You know what usually happens when a couple doesn't talk about money? At first, it seems fine. You've got your card, your income, your expenses. They've got theirs. Everyone kind of acts like it's working. Things just sort of figure themselves out. But then it starts. One spends more, and the other silently resents it. One saves. The other blows money on impulse buys. One covers all the bills, and the other doesn't even ask. Is this too much for you? And slowly it builds. There's resentment, quiet, unspoken, or anxiety. Am I even financially safe here? Or that creeping feeling of unfairness. I carry everything, and they don't even notice. And just like that, love slowly starts turning into frustration. Not because people are bad, but because no one talked, no one asked, no one set any real expectations. Here's the truth. There's no universal answer to how much should a husband earn, because life changes. Today, one of you earns more. Tomorrow, it might be the other. Today, you're living in a one-bedroom apartment. Tomorrow, you move. Today, it's just the two of you. Tomorrow, there's a baby. Everything changes, except for one thing. If you can't talk calmly about money, every change will feel like a crisis. So what do? It's simple, but not easy. You talk from the beginning, before the wedding, before you move in, before you sign that loan together. But what if you're already in the middle of the storm, married, with kids, with debt, with stress? You still start. An honest conversation might feel uncomfortable, but it's always better than years of pretending. Better one awkward truth than a lifetime of quiet resentment. Better one hard evening than living on autopilot. You can start at any moment. The key is, don't come in with accusations. Come in with a desire to understand each other. Talk about, what kind of life do we actually want? How much do we need to feel secure? What matters to both of us? Who can contribute what, and in what way? And what happens if one of us can't carry as much for a while? That's not calculation. That's respect. That's not control. That's honesty. It's not cynicism. It's maturity. And this feels important to say. We're afraid of coming off as calculating. But you know what's way scarier? Spending your life with someone you can't talk to about how you're going to live that life together. Because love without honesty isn't closeness. It's an illusion. And so we go quiet, out of fear, out of shame, out of wanting to keep the peace. But let's be clear, this silence, it's not respect. It's fear. And fear doesn't bring people closer. It turns them into strangers. A lot of people are afraid their partner will think, oh, so it's all about the money for you. But if that's how they react, maybe that's the real red flag. Because if a simple conversation about money scares you both, how are you supposed to face anything truly hard together? Here's a simple test. Want to know how healthy your relationship really is? Start a conversation about money. Not as a fight, not with blame, just as two people who care about each other, talking about goals, about options, about the future. And then, don't just pay attention to what they say. Watch how they say it. If they get defensive, deflect, or shut the conversation down, that's a warning sign, even if things seem fine right now. But if they listen, talk it through, and look for solutions. That's partnership. And here's the interesting thing. When you're able to talk openly about money, it doesn't just change your finances. It changes the way you see each other. You stop acting like two separate people. It's no longer me and you. It becomes us. The anxiety that one person is carrying everything, it fades. And in its place comes something else. The feeling that you can share not just the joy, but the hard stuff too. That you're building something together, not tiptoeing around it. There's less manipulation, less guessing, fewer hidden resentments, and instead more clarity, more honesty, more peace inside. We're in the same boat. We're rowing together. We're looking in the same direction. Of course, this won't solve every problem. But you know what's harder than any challenge? Feeling alone in your own relationship. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just talk. Because honest conversation is what reminds you you're not in this alone. Money isn't the most important thing, but in a relationship, money is like air. When there's enough of it, you don't notice. But when it's missing, you start to suffocate. And at that point, you're not thinking about romance or sweet words. You're just trying to breathe. Because silence around money breaks down trust, respect, and love. So talk openly, and do it sooner, not later, when it's already too late. Love isn't about avoiding hard conversations. It's about having the courage to have them. That's what real care looks like. That's what mature love is.